True leaders must know how to identify when their followers are ready to lead and when they are not ready. They must be able to identify who is ready in their team, who has the capacity to go ahead and replicate what they have been taught, and who still needs more nurturing. That's what I'll be focusing on today on leadership in 30 minutes. You're welcome, and my name remains Olatunji Shobodo. I'm your anchor, and this is brought to you by Emet Leadership Academy. Emet standing for truth. And so at Emet, we nurture leaders based on truth. We nurture leaders based on truth. Thank you for joining me this morning. And if you're joining at any other time, you are welcome. So today, without wasting much time, we'll be speaking on the subject, why you must be sifted as wheat. Why you must be sifted as wheat. So why must you be sifted as wheat? What is the whole idea? What does this have to do with leadership? What does it have to do with leadership? And I'm very quickly going to, share with you the experience of Jesus. We teach leadership from that perspective. We teach leadership from the perspective of the truth. Nothing comes close if you truly want to know how to do leadership right. And I want you to come with me to Luke 22, and beginning from verse 31. I'm going to share basically with you between 31 and 34. And so maybe I should just read it. Let this be one of those instances when we actually read. Of course, on others, leaders pray and what have you. We don't necessarily read, but leaders pray, we actually read. Sorry, we don't read on Leadership Monday. The idea is for you to have the opportunity of picking up your own Bible and reading. But this is what it says, and I'm reading, I believe, the Good News Translation. It says here, Simon, Simon, listen. Satan has received permission to test all of you, to separate the good from the bad, as a farmer separates the wheat from the chaff. Verse 32 now. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith will not fail. And when you turn back to me, you must strengthen your brothers. You must strengthen your brothers. Verse 33, Peter said, Lord, I'm ready to go to prison with you and to die with you. And verse 34 says, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow tonight until you have said 3 times that you do not know me. The rooster will not crow tonight until you have said 3 times that you do not know me. What an encounter. What an encounter between a leader and his team members, and the arrowhead of his team being Peter. What an encounter. And you probably have never thought about the leadership implications of the exchange, what transpired there. Very deep, very instructive lessons. Very deep, very instructive lessons. And I'm going to start by submitting to you that as long as your people are on that leadership journey with you, which destination is to make leaders out of them, out of each of them, as much as is possible, as much as they are willing to cooperate with you, they must be sifted as wheat. All right? They must. And if you're a true leader who was properly trained, who had the right kind of exposure, You must have been sifted as wheat before becoming the leader that you are. If you are not sifted as wheat, then you can't even be sure that you are doing the right thing. Because that process is the process for identifying who is ready to take on leadership responsibility, who has been developed to the point where the leader can be confident to recommend them for substantive leadership responsibility. And the outcome of the process of sifting will determine who is who, So to sift, what does that mean? It means to put through a test in order to separate those who are ready, that is good, from others, all right, bad. In the context of leadership, in the context of what a leader must be focused on doing, at every point, it's about separating those who are ready, all right, from those in respect of whom you still need to do more work. They are not ready. They are not ready. Now, to sift is to separate the chaff from the wheat, the original, the important, the substance from the fake, the form. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that process will take place. That process ought to be encouraged by a leader, because ultimately you only want to release those who are ready. And you don't want to keep sitting on people who are ready, who have been trained to the point where they can do what you are capable of doing and much more. And you don't want to release those who are not ready, because they will be half-baked leaders. And I guarantee they are bound to disappoint in the future. They are bound to disappoint. And you're going to see why these are very important considerations when it comes to the subject of leadership. You will see why very shortly. Now, what happened here? Jesus said, look, Satan sought permission from me to put you through a test. All right? He sought permission from me to put you through a test. And I gave him permission. Interestingly, I gave him permission. The test now is being conducted by a third party. So it's not the leader who is conducting the test. So it doesn't appear that the leader is biased by the outcome. All right? He brings an external person to conduct the test. The challenges of life, the challenges that you will come across in your walk with the leader will be the instrument for sifting the wheat from the chaff. They will help the leader exposing those who are ready from those who are not ready. That's the first thing that you should take away here. It's an independent test, and every leader should encourage it. Challenges will come, tests will come, temptations will come, trials will come, challenges will come as the people walk with you, all right, on the leadership journey. And when those challenges come, particularly focusing on the people, how will they respond? That's how you know. When you face tricky situations and they have to make a choice, are they going to stay with you or are they going to leave? Will they show that commitment in the face of a challenge, or will they balk and turn back? Those who are able to stand with you at such critical moments are ready. They display loyalty. Those who cannot stand, who have excuses, they are not ready. You still need more work to be done on them. They are not ready. So in this case, Peter was not ready. Although he boasted, having overrated himself, that he was ready to go to any length. He was ready to go to prison with the master. He was ready to even die. But he was not. He was lying, not because he wanted to lie, but because he overrated himself. He thought he had the capacity. He didn't know that he was not there yet. All right? Yes, he was sincere in his heart. It was something that he wanted to do. But sincerity is not enough. Capacity is required to give that sincerity substance. Capacity is required to make sincerity real. You can be sincere. You want to do it. You love the leader. You like to stay on his side. But hey, wait a minute. Look at this challenge. It requires more than just being willing. It requires being ready and able. And if the capacity is not there to stand, you will fall. And that's what happened to that. That's what happened to that. So it was clear that their master knew what was going to happen. It says, Satan, the adversary, has taken permission from me to test all of you. You see, all of you, without exception. So everyone that you are supervising, everyone who is a follower, will be tested without exception. Said he wants to test all of you. He wants to sift you like wheat. He wants to know exactly what you guys are made of. You've been following this leader now for how many years? What change has he brought into your life? Can you go ahead and truly do what the leader can do? Or you guys are just imposters, pretending? And let's see whether that is true. That was the same thing that the same guy did to Jesus immediately after his 40 days and 40 nights tutelage under the Holy Spirit. He sifted him like wheat. He sifted him like wheat. In Matthew 4, from verses 4 to 8, Jesus himself, before he became a leader, bona fide, before he could put his team together, he was sifted like wheat. The adversary came to test, are you original? Are you the Son of God indeed? Are you the product of this leader? Can you stand the test? Can you display loyalty in the face of temptations? Can you uphold the things that you have been taught? And in the case of Jesus, he passed the 3 tests. So he confirmed that truly he was ready to go ahead and lead. He had what it took. He was loyal to what he had been taught. He was taught, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from out of the mouth of God. Said, don't abuse your power. Don't turn stones to bread just because you can. That's not the idea of giving you power. Don't abuse your privilege. That's the second dimension of loyalty. Don't go and jump from a pinnacle when you have not been, when you have no reason to be on the pinnacle, just to test whether your leader is serious about the promise that he or she has made to you. That was the second temptation, the second test. And the third was, don't be swayed about wealth. Be loyal, all right, to the end. I mean, some guy brings you and shows you everything, and says, look, if you will bow to me, if you will submit to me, if you will worship me, I will give you everything. And Jesus said, no, something you don't understand, something I have been taught. He said, worship the Lord your God only. So Jesus was sifted as wheat, but he came out as wheat, not as chaff. He was ready to go and lead. And the next thing that he did was to go and put together his team. So you want to be a leader, or perhaps now you are a leader. Were you sifted as wheat? Did you go through the trials? Isn't that the reason that you are facing challenges today? All right. So you need to allow your people to be exposed. You need to allow them to be exposed. Expose them to test, expose them to temptation. Jesus said to them, at a later point, he said, watch and pray so that you don't fall into temptation. You need to expose them, because if they fall into temptation, they are not ready. They are not ready. When you expose them, it humbles them like it did to Peter. Because much later down the line, everything that Jesus told him as a leader who knew already what he was made up of and knew that he was not ready for the assignment he was going to give them, which is for them to go and make disciples of men as leaders like he has done. Okay? He knew that he was not ready. And he told him, you're going 24 hours. Here you are, overrating yourself, boasting, not knowing that you lack the capacity, that you are not there yet, not knowing that sincerity is not what it takes to stay loyal, because the temptation that followers face when, with a leader is that of loyalty. It's interesting, because what a leader needs from the followers, the prerequisite that the follower must meet in order to gain, to benefit, to be transformed by the leader's intervention is faith, is a commitment to following the leader, not to waver. So when you put your hand on the plow, you're not going to look back. So you will be ready to go ahead and lead only after you have been tested and you have proven that you would not look back. That you would not look back. All right. So Peter was humbled because he thought this could never happen to him. What the leader was saying to him, that he would deny him 3 times, that he would demonstrate that he's not loyal 3 times on 3 separate occasions, it looked far-fetched. It looked like this man doesn't believe in me. But the leader knew he knew his onions. He knew what he was talking about. And he wanted him to experience it so that he can be humbled by the challenges, and so that he can redouble his efforts. Because now he also knows that he's not where he thought he was. And that way he can work on it. He can ensure that that shortcoming that he still has is mitigated without the test. While you are still under leadership, it will be difficult to, expose that shortcoming. It will be difficult to expose that shortcoming. So one of the things that you find here is this, is loyalty is evidence of leadership readiness. Some people don't know whether their people are ready to lead, whether their people are ready to be given higher responsibility, whether their people are ready to be taken somewhere else, so that they can preside and help to develop others and help to contribute more to the organization or the community or the nation, as the case may be. They don't know. But the test of leadership readiness is loyalty. Loyalty is the proof that you are ready to go and lead. Why is that the case? Because loyalty simply means that under extreme circumstances, you will still uphold the tenets of leadership that you received. That's what loyalty is. It's not about loyalty to the person. It's about loyalty to what the person taught, what the person stands for. It's not just because you like the person. It's that you have been trained, you have been taught certain things to be applied in season and out of season. Are you going to be loyal to it? Because that's what it takes to succeed. What a true leader teaches you is what it takes to succeed. You go forward from the leader to keep doing the things you were taught, not to depart from that. Not to depart from that. So this test is to ascertain, are you going to be able to uphold the things that you were taught, or you are going to depart from them? If you are going to depart from them, it will show, because you will fall like Peter. If you are going to uphold them, you will stand, and then we know you are ready to go and lead. Because we know that if you are faithful today, if you are loyal to the things today, haven't proven you'll be loyal tomorrow. He that is faithful in little will be faithful in what? Much. It's a principle. It's a principle. It said, you have been faithful. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in little. Now come and manage 10 cities. Why? Because they know that the principle is, once he has been faithful in handling that 5 naira or 10 naira or $1 or $50, when you put $50,000 in his hands, he will be faithful in managing it. This is very important. And I remember, someone saying, and this was a governor, of a state, Lagos State, I believe, Babatunde Raji Fashola, when something transpired, and it had to do with his relationship with his leader. That's Tinubu, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria currently. And, the famous statement that Fashola is reported to have made is, may our loyalty not be tested. May our loyalty not be tested. Apparently, it was a very tricky situation for him, all right, for him to have made that statement. I mean, I'm not aware that he said more than that, but that's a loaded statement. But I have news for you, sir. I have news for you, ma. Your loyalty will be tested. Your loyalty will be tested. Your loyalty to your leader will be tested. Not to the person of your leader, but to the principles, the tenets of leadership that your leader taught you. Loyalty to the person is not the requirement. Loyalty to the principle is the requirement. Other than the fact that you are dealing with Jesus, who, by the way, at this time was like any other man. All right? Your loyalty must be to principle. Your loyalty must be to substance, not to people. Not to people. People can change, but principles don't change. The reason that our loyalty has to be to God in his entirety is that he never changes. I am the Lord, I change not. Because of that, you sons of Jacob are not consumed. All right, God has that attribute. So you can trust his person. because his person and his word, they are the same. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. Himself, his word, one and the same. But when it comes to you and I as leaders, our followers must be trained to be loyal to what we taught them, the principles. It's safer that way rather than to us as individuals, as personalities, because we can change. Unfortunately so, we can change. I mean, Solomon used to be right there, committed, great leader, endowed wonderfully, made rich above every other king, warned of where things could go wrong, but things still went wrong. Things still went wrong. But he taught principles that even he later did not uphold. So if you were following Solomon, you are safer holding on to his principles. He may fall to the strange women, but you need not fall. Being a protege of Solomon, you need not fall to strange women. Why? Because you are focused on the principles. You are not focused on Solomon as a person or personality. That's a very important message that I think somebody needs to hear. All right? That I think somebody needs to hear. So, you see where loyalty is. Loyalty is faithfulness. All right? But to principle, not to people. To what you have been taught. Don't depart to the left or to the right from the tenets of leadership that you have been taught. The test or the temptation or the trial that you'll be exposed to necessarily in your leadership work, in the quest to making you also a leader, will be with regard to your capacity to be loyal, to your capacity to be loyal. All right? So I ask one or two questions here. You know, the first thing I talked about is, are you authentic? Wheat is authentic. Chaff is not. Nobody needs chaff. We need wheat. But you cannot take the wheat, even identify the wheat, without clearing the chaff. That's why you have to sift. That's why you have to pass them through a sieve. All right? So that the chaff can drop and you save the wheat. That's what every leader must make sure that he or her people go through. That's what will save you in producing leaders that are true leaders. Will you be loyal? Guess what? Your loyalty is a forecast. It's an indicator of what the quality of your leadership will be in the future. We know today how you are going to perform tomorrow by whether or not you pass that test of loyalty. If you pass that test of loyalty today, oh, there is a very high chance that you are going to remain loyal. So your loyalty today, that test today, which you must take under the current leader, tells us what will be after we are no longer on the scene, after the leader today is no longer on the scene. So it is not true. I think this is a good point to address that issue. It is not true that a leader does not know what will become of his people, how well his people will perform after they have left. Because some people will say, how can you assess the success of a leader by what the people do after the leader has left? Oh, yes. Now you see why. Because the leader is training the people to become leaders. And what the leader is doing is developing what makes him a leader in them, so that they can go ahead and use those things to do leadership. But in order for the leader to be confident that they are ready, and being ready means that they will stay loyal to what they have been taught, they must be subjected to a test. They must be subjected to a test to prove that they will stay loyal. And that test is a test of loyalty, is a test of faithfulness. If they pass it today, we know it's an indication that tomorrow, when we come, when we ask about them, when we come looking for them, when we receive reports about them, they will be excellent reports. They will truly do greater works. That's why Jesus was saying, he said, look, when I'm done with you, for those of you who truly graduate from this school of leadership, you will do greater works than I have done. You will do greater works. How do I know you will do greater works? Because you have been tested. Yes, you failed on this occasion, but notice they still work with him for a while. So those aspects where they failed, they learned a big lesson from this particular encounter. They learned a very big lesson. And those who overrated themselves were humbled. They knew where they were missing it. They knew what to focus on. He also, as a leader, knew what to focus on to get them ready. And that's why, ultimately, when they were ready and they were released, all of them did excellently well. All of them, without exception, all of them did well. So it's an indication. That's how you know. You must know as a leader, if you have done a good job, that tomorrow will be better than today. Under the leadership of those that you have trained today, you must know. You must know you have what it takes. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. Don't shield your people from being tempted, from being tested, from being tried, from facing challenges. Don't shield them. Rather, take advantage of those challenges. Expose them to those challenges. Give those challenges permission to confront them. Let's see how they are going to play it. Let's see whether they will rise above the challenges or they will fall like a pack of cards. Either way, it's still okay. They're still under you. Okay? So you can address their shortcomings. But not to subject them to tests and then to allow all of them to go just because they have hung around you for a bit would be an act of irresponsibility on your part. And that means your future, your legacy, as it were, as a leader, cannot be anything spectacular. It can't. If it works, maybe it's just by chance. But the chances are that we're going to get some very rude shocks because you didn't do what you should have done. You didn't do what you should have done. Sifting is crucial. You must be sifted if you want to be a leader. You must be sifted. Sifting is differentiating your people from each other, separating them, the authentic, the ones with great potentials who are ready, from the ones who are, for now, imposters. All right? Like Peter. At that point, Peter was an imposter. He believed that he was ready. As we will say, he was making mouth, thinking that it's about what you say alone, when he truly lacked capacity. And it was revealed to be a sorry case, because he later denied, just as the leader had known he will. And it wasn't rocket science. The leader knew, he could see. Many leaders know. If you observe carefully your people, you know who is ready. You know who still has, things to that you need to address. All right? Forgetting all their exuberances. Forgetting all their exuberances. Okay? So, what are we still talking about? We're talking about the fact that as a leader, you need to prepare your people for the test. Jesus told Peter, he said, he called his attention along with his others. They didn't know what lay ahead. He said, Simon, Simon, let me tell you, something is ahead. There's a test ahead of you. I'm not the one who is going to conduct it. My adversary is going to conduct it. Adversarial situations will conduct it. Challenges are going to come. And unfortunately, this one, you're going to bungle it. You will fall under the weight of this test. And it's to make a point to you that you still have work to do. It's to make a point that you still have work to do. You are going to be sifted as wheat. They're going to be sifted as wheat. So you need to prepare. He prepared them for the test. He told them ahead of it. Unfortunately, they didn't take him seriously. And they paid dearly for it. Because all of them ran away. None of them stayed. The moment Jesus was arrested, everybody ran away. All of them. They all ran away. So they failed. They all failed the test. None of them was ready at the time. Can you imagine? None of them was ready. And Peter, especially because he was the focus, he was going to be the yardstick. I mean, he at least still had the boldness, all right, to follow him, even though he was, far away, to follow him to the high chief or whatever, place, and to observe him from afar. But the others were nowhere to be found. They were nowhere to be found. So in a sense, Peter was still ahead of them. That's one of the reasons why Peter was the one who headed them after Jesus has gone. All right. He had a greater capacity, as it were. And probably was a lot more zealous as well. So there's an aspect that I want us to consider. I call it, okay, so here you prepare your people for the test and then you support them with prayer. You support them with prayer. If you are not, I started a series and I'm going to keep it up by the grace of God. It holds on Tuesdays. It's called Leaders Pray. And that's because I came to decide that, look, our quest to nurture leaders will not be complete without speaking to the prayer gap, because leaders need to pray. Luke 18 and verse 1, men ought. Jesus was talking to these men. He was talking to these would-be leaders. He was talking to these prodigies. Men ought always to pray and not to faint. Put that differently. Leaders, whether male or female, ought always to pray and not to faint. There is a place of prayer in your leadership work. If you want to succeed, there are prayers you need to be praying. So I started that series. You want to look at it. The first one was last week. The second one was yesterday. I did a restream or rebroadcast because the one on Tuesday had a challenge. And so the first one was Revive Us, O Lord. The second one yesterday, I was speaking to Let This Cup Pass, O Lord. It will do you a world of good. So you can see here that one of the things that Jesus did, Jesus said to him, he said, yes, this is the test that is coming. He said, but I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail. I prayed for you. Why was it that he prayed? Why was it that he didn't teach him? Why was it that he didn't do anything? Why did he just go to stand in the gap for him? Because that's the only thing that he could do to mitigate what was going to befall him. He said, I have prayed for you. I've seen it coming, and I know you are going to fall. But I have prayed for you so that your faith will not fail. That is, you will fall, but your faith must not fail. You will fall. And he did fall to the temptation, but his faith did not fail. That's what I want to talk about now. The danger of sifting. The danger of sifting. The danger of sifting. There's a difference between falling in the face of temptation and your faith failing, or the faith of your followers failing. Why did Jesus pray that their faith will not fail? Because if he didn't pray, their faith could fail. What does that mean? They could lose faith in his leadership. They could lose faith in following him. Up till that time, they had built faith in him. That's why they were following, up to some level. It's just that they had not built sufficient faith to stay with him in the face of the challenge that they faced. So loyalty is also evidence of your level of faith. After all, we say it is faithfulness. And that should tell you, therefore, that there are different levels of loyalty, just as there are different levels of faith. He said, "O ye of little faith." He said, "Oh, I've never seen such great faith." No, not in Israel. So there are levels of faith. If there are levels of faith, there are levels of loyalty. There are levels of loyalty. There are levels of loyalty. But Peter fell, not because they didn't have faith, but because their faith was insufficient to handle the test. It was evidence that they needed to build the greater faith in the one they were following, so that they will be able to stand strong. The Bible tells us, he said, if you fall in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Put it differently, your faith is small. If you fall in the day of adversity, your faith is small. It's not that you don't have faith. It didn't say you don't have faith. The fact that you have faith does not mean that things will work for you. There's a level of faith required to make certain things work. Until you attain it, that faith, you won't get the result. He said, if you fall in the day of adversity, your faith has not reached the level that can handle that challenge. That was the problem with, Peter. And the problem also is that you may now be thinking that, so what is the benefit in following this path? I mean, if, it's not as if I don't have faith, but look, I can't even, it's not helping me. So your faith can be eroded when you are flawed by a challenge. Your faith can be eroded when you are flawed by a challenge. Your faith can be eroded completely. You can turn back and say, what is all this? And we see that in the parable of the sower, by the way. Why? Because if you look at the second interpretation that was given, the seed that was planted in the stony ground, what were we told? It talked about people who received the word, who were excited, who had some small faith, but then challenges arose and their faith couldn't handle it and they fell away. They were offended. They fell away. What does it mean? Their faith was eroded. They thought things should be a lot easier. They didn't know that they had not built their faith to the level where they could handle that issue. And what they ought to have done is to seek for help instead of getting offended. They got offended. They turned back. They left. They left. So that's how it works. Now you understand why Jesus was quick not to pray that they should not fall, but that they should not lose their faith. There's a big difference between that. You can't help them falling if they don't have enough faith. You can't help them falling. The just shall live by his faith, meaning the outcomes of the life of the just will be according to the level of faith. The reason that the quality of your life is not more than it is because your faith cannot handle, it can't bring into your life bigger things. You probably want me to repeat that. The reason that your life is not experiencing a higher quality of outcomes is because your faith is insufficient to bring those outcomes into your life. The just shall live by his faith, not the faith of somebody else, his faith. It means the quality of what you see in your life, the outcomes that you handle in your life, the results that you get in your life, they are a function, they depend heavily, and they reflect on the level of development of your faith. That's it. Nobody can help you to increase the quality of the outcomes of your life through any other means than by helping you to build your faith. When you build your faith, the quality of the outcomes of your life will increase. You promote yourself to the next level. It's in your hands. That's why the Bible tells you, work out your own salvation by fear and trembling. The help that a leader can give you is to pray that the little faith you have, you won't lose it. Because if you do, you go back to ground zero. And both parties will lose. You will lose, the leader will lose. Why? Because the leader is depending on your faith in him to be able to deliver his mandate to you. Every leader is working to secure the faith and therefore the strong commitment of their people so that they have the opportunity to transform them. John 1 and verse 14, he said, to those who received him, he gave power to become sons of God. That's how leaders train others. He said, even to those who believed on his name. So it takes faith. It takes your faith in the leader. He said, he who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. So he who receives a leader as a true leader in the name of a leader will receive the reward of a leader. What is the reward of a leader? The reward of a leader is to make you into a leader after his own order. That's the reward of the leader. So it is crucial, if a leader does not secure your faith in him, you can't be established. You can't prosper as a leader. 2 Chronicles 20:20, believe the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe also his prophet, so shall ye prosper. So the leader can't afford someone who already had some faith, some degree of faith in them, to lose that faith. Can't afford that faith to be eroded. all the work that he or she did to get the person to that level will be completely lost. And that person, they will lose that person. Jesus did not want to lose Peter and all of his guys. That's why he had to pray. He could at least pray that they would not lose their faith. He couldn't pray that they won't fall, because that's a function of the faith. If the faith doesn't grow, they will keep falling. All right? But he could pray that their faith will not be eroded. That's a prerogative of a leader. That's a prerogative of a leader. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why leaders must pray. What if he could not pray? There is no other way. And then he would have undermined himself. He would have made nonsense of all that he had invested, developing these guys over the last 2 years plus into who they had become. They are not useless guys. They are not worthless guys. The fact that they fell in the face of this temptation does not mean that they don't have any faith or that they have gained nothing from him over the period of time. All it means is that they still need to develop themselves more. They should have an idea that this is how far we have come, but we're not there yet. And therefore, hopefully, they rededicate themselves to working with him so that they can address their shortcomings. That's what this is all about. That's what these experiences, that's what these tests are. In James chapter 1, what did he say? He said, count it all joy when you face what? Diverse temptations and trials. That is, they will come. He said, for the trying, they are going to try your faith. They will try your loyalty. He said, the trying of your faith, it will work patience. It will produce patience. He said, but let patience have its full work, so that you may be perfect and complete, wanting nothing. That's the process. That's the process. You can fall, but let your faith not be eroded. Let the faith you have garnered up till that point not be eroded. If we can save you, then at least that faith is still here. Then we can work with you to build the faith to here. We don't want that faith that is already here to completely disappear. That would be a shame. That would be a great, great irony. And no one should allow that to happen. Their faith must not fail. Never allow the faith of your people to fail. People who already, if they didn't have faith before, it's a different thing. It's a whole different thing. But if they have walked with you for a reasonable, appreciable time, and you see some level of commitment in them, showing that, you know, they have built faith in you, you are responsible as the leader never to watch the faith that they have already built eroded. And the only way, sir, the only way, ma, to prevent that, to secure that level of faith, is to pray. Is to what? Pray. You see why, therefore, the leader needs to help the people with prayer, needs to help his work with prayer. Because if they are this level, you keep praying to secure so they don't go down. When they move to this level, you keep praying to secure them at this level now so they don't go down. Then they go to this level, you secure them so they don't go down. Men ought always, leaders ought always to pray and not to faint. You pray your people as into that place of loyalty where they will not be able to fall in the midst or in the face of temptations. You need to tell them. You need to challenge them. You need to expose them so they see their results, so they know how strong they are, so they know where they still need to work. So you know, I mean, they know that they still need to cooperate with you. They still need to depend on you because they are not where they should be yet. And you pray continuously for them so that as you walk on them, supplying what they need to build faith in you, you are hedging, you are hedging, you are hedging, ensuring that their faith never crashes. Never crashes. It's only through prayer. It's only through prayer. I'm going to deal with that someday in the next couple of weeks on leaders pray. And that's what we'll be focusing on. How to pray to secure the faith of your people, to prevent their faith from being eroded, to prevent all your work from amounting to nothing, to ensure that truly the people who are following you, they live by faith, and their faith keeps growing. Their security is in ensuring that their faith continues to grow. And you have a lot to do in that regard. You have a lot to do in that regard. Your followers have responsibilities too, by the way, make no mistake about it. But you, as the leader, you have a lot to do in that regard. You have a lot to do in that regard. I hope, so much has been packed into today's session, so much to learn from, that encounter. Followers, don't overrate yourself. Don't boast about your loyalty until it is tested, and it surely will be tested. But you'll be surprised at what the result will be. It will humble you. It will show you that you need help. Just like Peter. Be careful to humble yourself, to stay focused, to watch, and to pray as well. You also need to pray. If you truly want to become that leader that others can trust tomorrow, all right, with their lives, that society can trust, that the organization can trust, you must be ready. The test will come. The challenges as you walk with your leader will test you. An independent test, your leader won't have anything to do with it. He would allow you. And when leaders expose you to tests or temptations or challenges, don't get upset. It's a way of training you. It's a way of training you. All right? They'll give you an idea, if they are good leaders, of what you are going to face before it happens. But don't be like Peter, who was warned. And instead of him to prepare, instead of him to re-examine himself, instead of him to go and ask his master, what must I do so that when this test comes, I will not fall? He didn't do that. He trusted in himself. He thought he had it all figured out. And exactly what was said to him ahead, you had already been given notice. He still failed, and failed woefully, and humbled himself, wept bitterly that somebody at my level, he never believed that he could be like that. But it's because he overrated himself. He overrated himself. Look at all of the shame. But thank God, he learned a big lesson from it. He became better thereafter. And that was the last time he ever failed in the face of a temptation. What if he had not been trained? Then after the master had left, if the temptations came, he would have fallen like a pack of cards. He would have fallen like a pack of cards. So leaders, don't shield your people from challenges. Don't throw them under the bus, though. Don't throw them under the bus. Someday I'll be speaking on something I called, the bullet that the leader must take alone. There's a bullet that the leader must take alone. Never put your people in front to take that bullet on your behalf. So don't throw your people under the bus. That's not what we're talking about. All right? Expose them to challenges. Challenges that will match the level of their faith. Isn't that what God does for us? 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 13. He said, there is no challenge that you are facing that is not common to man. So what Peter faced was not a big deal, was not something they couldn't overcome. Because that's scripture, and the scripture can be broken. And one scripture does not contradict the other. Said that God will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able to accomplish. So as far as God was concerned, you should be able to overcome the tests that come your way. The fact that you don't overcome is not the problem of God, it's your own problem. It's your lack of faith. But God expects that, look, given how long you have followed me, this is a problem you should be able to deal with. It's a problem you should be able to deal with. And many times we overrate ourselves. We fall in the face of such problems. And we're blaming God when we should be blaming ourselves. It's the same thing you do to your leader. Your leader is not wrong by allowing you to face challenges. It's for your benefit. Your leader is not wrong by assigning certain, by giving you certain assignments. I mean, you are wondering, how could he has given you something like this? You don't even know this, you don't. Well, for the period of time that you have worked with him, he expected that you should have benefited enough. You should have developed sufficient capacity to handle this. That's why he's putting it at your doorsteps. If you fail, then you're a disappointment. Then it means that you have overrated yourself. You need to humble yourself, and you have much more to learn from the leader. But how does a leader know how much more you need if it doesn't test you? The reason for test is to ascertain your level of development and whether you are ready to move to the next level. In this case, whether you are ready to become a bona fide leader, because the leader will be held responsible for producing half-baked leaders and allowing them to be given responsibility. Because half-baked leaders who show no loyalty, as we have discussed, so far today, half-baked leaders who show no loyalty, don't expect anything from them. They are going to goof in the future. They are going to goof. Why? They are disloyal today. They are unfaithful today. They are going to be unfaithful tomorrow. It's a simple principle. I mean, some leaders say they wonder, how could this person have done this? Did this guy really gain anything from me? Well, we should ask you, did you ascertain what this lead person gained from you? Did you ascertain that this person was sufficiently loyal to the things that you taught? Is this person loyal? Because if you carried out that test and you established that the person was loyal when they were under you, they will be loyal when they leave you. So you don't have to worry about people that you certified as being ready to lead because they were sifted like wheat. They were sifted as wheat. The test was conducted repeatedly and they passed. They came out as wheat, not as chaff. They came out as prepared, as ready, as having the capacity to stay loyal. When you release those kind of guys, you know without anybody telling you that they're going to shine like 1,000 stars. Because you have done the needful. You have done the needful. Leadership is not that uncertain that a leader cannot know the quality of people he or she produced. If you will do what we have discussed today, if you will expose your people to be sifted as wheat, you will never release fake leaders. You will never release people prematurely. The people you will release will be those who are ready. And your legacy will be spot on. Your legacy will be spot on. So the quality of your legacy is in your hands. You determine it while you are in the position by the quality of leaders that you produce. So you don't lament tomorrow and say to us, this is not what I taught him. The guy is doing his own thing. No, sir. Otherwise, nobody would have had the confidence to give him additional leadership responsibility. So I hope followers also see a lot. You want to become a leader, there's a process. You better ensure that you are sifted as wheat. You better ensure that you're exposed to face challenges. It doesn't matter whether you fail the loyalty test. It's better to fail it while you are still under the leader than to fail it when the leader has left you. Because while you are still under the leader, you can still get help. Those shortcomings can still be redressed. The leader can still pray for you. All right? The leader can still pray for you. It was Jesus that prayed that their faith will not fail. They weren't the ones. That's the responsibility of leadership. So I hope that those of you who are listening as well, you can join me on Tuesday, Leaders Pray. And we begin to pray together. The prayers of leaders are different. They pray in the context of their leadership responsibility. They are not general prayers. They're not general prayers. And this is one of the instances where you see what leaders pray about. They pray to secure the faith of their people in them. Because it's crucial. Without that, they can't make any impact on their people. They can't transform their people. So that's it for today on Leadership in 30 Minutes. It's been a long one, but it's a very crucial topic. And I hope that it's been beneficial to you. So go ahead and please make your comments, ask your questions, express your points of view, share what you learned from it. And, that would be great feedback. For me, it would be a great source of encouragement as well. So I know there are people listening out there, and, I know the extent to which they are following. And my attention also will be drawn to areas that we need to clarify, or areas that we need to address, or perhaps some corrections that we even need to make. Okay? So that's it. So before I close, let me still draw your attention once again to some of my programs, and you would see one that's already scrolling beneath. That is Equip. I have a program called Equip. It's going to start on the 1st of every month, and it will run for 40 days, all right, consecutive days. 90 minutes per day over a period of 40 days, and you will come out. Your capacity to excel would have been significantly upgraded. More precisely, we would have helped you to develop an excellent spirit. Like Daniel, like Jesus, they said of them, an excellent spirit was in them. What was the making of this excellent spirit? There was nothing that they set their hands on that they didn't succeed in. There were people of knowledge. There were people of understanding. There were people, of wisdom. There were people who were continuous learners, people who could fix problems, who could figure out puzzles, who could explain enigmas. They weren't ordinary people. And it wasn't just Daniel. It was Daniel and all his three friends. Remember them? Daniel and all his three friends. So the excellent spirit can be cultivated. You need to cultivate it. You need to nurture it. There's a way to do it. And that's what I'll be taking you through personally. It's a live session, 40 days, every day, 90 minutes, from 9 to 10:30 West African time. And we start the 1st of every month. All right? I guarantee is something you've never done before. And precisely, we'll be contacting that excellent spirit by looking through the 38 parables of Jesus. Have you, please share with me in the comment, have you ever undertaken that adventure before? That is, you took the 38 parables, and the idea was the secrets that are contained in these parables, the principles, the mysteries of life, the empowerment to succeed in life. All right. Have you subjected yourself to that experience? If you have not, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. You upgrade yourself and your capacity to excel and to do so with ease. That's what that program is about. You know, I call it equip. I call it equip. And the reason that is called equip is also, you know, in scripture, there is a point you get to where you are regarded as having been thoroughly furnished or thoroughly equipped for every good work. Thoroughly equipped for every good work. That was the charge that Paul gave to Timothy. He said to Timothy, you know, that there are certain things for you to learn and for you to engage. He says, so that the man of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. So there are people who have what it takes to face challenges, to overcome them. All right. And this, if you will do this, if you will get on this, if you secure your seat, it will help you to address some of the issues that we talked about earlier today. All right. You may also want, introduce you to another one, and this one is called antidote. Antidote. Now, this is a different program, and the focus is also different. All right. What is the antidote about? The antidote is a program that helps you to develop that name, the antidote to the odds against your success. In life, whatever it is you are pursuing, there are odds. Odds will arise against your success. That the probability that anyone will succeed in whatever it is they set their hands themselves to do is 75%. The odds are against your success. The odds are against my success. All right. How do we overcome them? We can overcome them. We overcome them by building our capacity, all right, to invoke antidotes. And there are antidotes. There are antidotes. All right. That program is a 4-week program. I think that we'll be meeting on Saturdays and Sundays, a total of 8 hours. And I'll be showing you the framework that will help you succeed in whatever you lay your hands on, and show you the place, the odds that they are real, and show you what they can, how they threaten your ability to succeed. And then we look at the source of uncertainty and the antidote. All right. By the time you are through, when you embark on any initiative or when you face any challenge, your approach will be completely different. And this time, the odds are in favor of your success will be far higher than the odds against your success. Antidote is what I have called it. Is a 4-week master class, and suddenly I'm confident to recommend it to you. And you can find also the link beneath the screen. It will be my pleasure to welcome you to these classes. They would be of great benefit. These are not classes you will find anywhere else. At Emet Leadership Academy, our commitment is to nurturing leaders based on truth. Our approach is unique. All right. It's proven. And like I always say, not because of my experience, even though my experience is over 35 years, not because of, any other thing. All right. But because what we are teaching is proven, is the truth. And you can't do anything against the truth except to align yourself with the truth. You want to truly succeed? execute the truth, be committed to truth, and then you will succeed rather cheaply, for that matter. There are other programs, but let's start with that. I look forward to welcoming you into those 2 programs. And I will say to you, if you undertake them and you still remain the same, then please just ask me for your money back. But I'm too sure that we would never get to that position. So it's been a pleasure coming to you today. It's been a pretty extended session. Share the link, share these things with others. All right. If you believe that these are authentic leadership, lessons, if we speak to your ability to lead well, let's share it with others so that we all can build leadership capacity. We should be tired of pointing accusing fingers and blaming everybody else except ourselves when we are not even doing anything to become leaders as well. Who says that you are not called to lead? Who says that you can't make a contribution to what is happening all around you in that business, in that organization, in that family, in the nation? But you won't invest in it. You won't develop yourself. You're only happy, you're satisfied to keep pointing fingers, to keep criticizing and all of that. That's not the way to go. That's not how wise people conduct their business. They empower themselves, they build capacity so that when they are talking, they are offering solutions. People can relate to them. They are not criticizing. They are not looking for loopholes. They are not making caricature of what is serious matter, like many of us are doing, all over the country right now. I think that's like my last word for today. I think I've spoken enough. I want to thank everyone who haven't got tired of listening to what I've been saying, for the past 1 hour. God bless you. And enjoy what remains of your week. Great things are still going to happen for you by the grace of God. God bless you. Tunji Shobodu remains my name, and it's been a pleasure coming to you today on Leadership in 30 Minutes. Leadership in 30 Minutes. Make it a date on Monday, first thing on Monday, so that you can take delivery of your nugget to help you do leadership right on Monday. Mondays is Leadership Monday. Tuesdays, Leaders Pray. And Thursdays, Leadership in 30 Minutes. That's the program for now. It's all about leadership and nurturing leaders based on the truth. God bless you. Bye-bye.